So, my topic is gay marriage. So, I'm going to be talking about gay marriage and how it has gained recognition throughout the US, how they gain their rights, how it's been legalized, how it relates to the government and balance of power, etc. So, an introduction to same sex marriage rights. The first state to legalize gay marriage was Massachusetts, here, on May 17th, 2004, and it was the result of the Supreme Judicial Court ruling in the Goodrich v. Department of Public Health case that it was unconstitutional under the Massachusetts Constitution to only allow opposite-sex couples to marry. And gay marriage was legalized in California on June 16, 2008, as a result of the California Supreme Court remarriage cases, and they barred same-sex couples from marrying when Proposition 8 had been passed, which I will talk about in the next slide. And the entirety of the U.S. legalized gay marriage June 26, 2015 as a result of the Supreme Court decision from the Obergefell v. Hodges cases that I will also get more into later on, and pictures of marriages and stuff. So Proposition 8 and Proposition 22. Proposition 8 and 22 are both designed against gay marriage and same-sex couples' rights, and Proposition 8 was passed November 8, 2008, and was appealed August 4, 2010, and it was a result of the Perry v. Schwarzenegger case that ruled Proposition 8 as to violating the due process and equal protection clauses that were under the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. And the due process clause prohibits arbitrary deprivation of life, liberty, or property by the government unless authorized by law. And the equal protection clause states that nor shall any state deny to any person within its jurisdiction protection of the laws. So, this had also led to legalization of gay marriage in California, like I said in the previous slide, that Proposition 8 and is connected. And Proposition 22 was passed March in 2000 and repealed January 1st, 2015. And Proposition 22 denied gay and lesbian couples various rights, such as rights to inheritance from family members, companions, spouses, etc., the right of remaining companions to live in each other's homes, the right to visit their companions in hospitals, etc., and the proposition made it so that same-sex couples weren't recognized as real couples and enacted that marriage was between one man and one woman only. So both of these cases were big parts, like restrictions of basic rights to gay marriage and same-sex couples. Now, the Defensive of Marriage Act, or DOMA, was from 1966 to 2013, and it put a limitation on federal benefits to same-sex couples. And the act barred the federal government from treating same-sex couples as married couples. And under DOMA, thousands of same-sex couples that were legally married in the U.S. were deemed ineligible for tax breaks, Social Security benefits, employer health insurance. They were denied rights of inheritance, joint tax return, tax exemptions, immigration and residency from partners, etc. But the act was ended and ruled unconstitutional by Supreme Court decisions from the United States v. Windsor and Obergefell v. Hodges, which I'll get into the next slide. But the entire act just completely stripped away rights that normally opposite-sex couples would get in the U.S. and under marriage laws, and that they just didn't receive. And Obergefell v. Hodges was an extremely important Supreme Court case, and it was the court case of a gay couple, James Obergefell and John Arthur James were filing a lawsuit to challenge the United States' refusal to recognize same-sex marriage on death certificates. And the case involved various couples from Ohio, Massachusetts, Kentucky, and Tennessee just suing their states and challenging the constitutionality of the state's bans and laws on same-sex marriage and refusal to recognize their marriages as legal at all. And the ruling of the case proved that these bans and laws were proved unconstitutional under the Due Process and Equal Protection Clause under the 14th Amendment that I mentioned in the previous slides. And this was extremely important because it's the case that led same-sex marriage legalization and recognition throughout the entirety of the U.S. and made it legal everywhere and recognized everywhere, and in all of the U.S. territories, which is why it was also just important toward like LGBTQ movement and rights as a complete whole, because it was a huge thing for them. And here you can see Obergefell and walking. And finally, overall, the state and government do hold a lot of power over LGBTQ rights and gay marriage rights. And before the Obergefell versus Hodges case, different states throughout the U.S. had different laws regarding levels of recognition towards same-sex couples and their marriage rights. And it was just like progressive that people brought up their problems and brought them to the Supreme Court to then change, I guess, the laws. And regarding like the essential question, like how is power balanced in the U.S. government, I think that the power really resides in the citizens of the U.S. as a whole. Like as you can see throughout these cases and propositions, etc., that were brought to the Supreme Court, they were all shut down and proved wrong by the citizens bringing the problems up to the Supreme Court. So I feel like those cases balance out the power, I guess, between the citizens and the U.S. government and federal and state court overall, because they just proved, I guess, like what was right from wrong and bringing the LGBTQ and same-sex couples the rights that they deserve. And that is all. Thank you.